I would say also a caveat is like, you could do bad things with any of the schools of magic, with any magic,
right.
But I am looking at, is the particular spell itself, do I feel like this is inherently, and would be an act of evil? And detecting thoughts definitely could be.
Yeah. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to
Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds.
All right, so what do we have on the agenda today, Dave?
Today we're going to rank the schools of magic by how evil we think they are, from least to most. And the reason we're doing this video is because whenever we talk about necromancy, and we generally call it evil, people are like, hey, this school of magic is so much more evil than necromancy. And I'm like, let's see if that's true or not. Let's go through them and give our opinions on how we rank them.
All right, so right now, we know that this is going to be a hot button topic. So jump down to the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Start or continue that debate that's out there, because I know it's going to happen.
Yeah, just straight up list them. There's only 8 of them, from least to most evil, in your opinion. We're only going to do the schools, not the traditions, because, well, they're not schools of magic.
Right.
So with that, let's jump into it, and we're going to start off with what we consider not evil.
So first up is the School of Abjuration. This is designed to be the protection school. So if you've got abjuration magic, or you're an abjurer, you are putting up things that are defensive, that are protecting you, so you're not going to have as much offensive capability. So therefore, we felt this was the most not evil.
Yeah, I think at best maybe you can send things away that aren't supposed to be there. So it definitely feels like, you know, the least evil of all the schools of magic. Next up, we have divination, and I think me and you disagreed on this one a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because one of our categories is evil if you are, but like I went through and I looked at the divination school and I go, okay, what are these spells? Like you could use them, you could use divination magic to spy on people and get information about them. There's only one spell that I was like, all right, this spell is really invasive. And that's detect thoughts.
Oh yeah.
But that's really the only one that I could find. And I would say also a caveat is like, you could do bad things with any of the schools of magic, with any magic.
Right.
But I am looking at, is the particular spell itself, do I feel like this is inherently and would be an act of evil? And detecting thoughts definitely could be.
Yeah, and if you are like myself and you're watching Campaign 3 of Critical Role, Detect Thoughts is a huge component of that particular, series of that particular campaign, and there's multiple characters using it, really invading the thoughts and, trying to gather information. So for me, that was one of those things where I'm like, all right, I really feel certain spells within divination could be used as like, all right, well, if you're trying to manipulate fate and destiny and invade the thoughts of others, if you're an evil person, like you can really do a lot of harm with divination and all of that jazz. So I was like, all right, this one might be higher up on the list. But Dave thought, there's not a huge number of spells that was, in that area of
yeah, I took it as like, yes, you could use some of these spells to do harm and do bad things.
But the overarching school itself.
Yeah, inherently none of those things are bad, because like there's one. Right. Next up is the School of Illusion. Illusion is all about misdirection, deception, which could be used to entertain and used to, in ways that aren't necessarily bad. You could use them to do very bad things. But in and of itself, I find the School of Illusion to be fairly neutral, the same way divination is.
Right. I look at this, and this is why I would put divination, further down the list than illusion, because I look at illusion as generally they're pranksters. It's meant to get a laugh. It is meant to entertain, not necessarily, out to really screw with somebody, in the long run. So that's why we kind of had a little bit of difference of opinion. But where divination is generally considered a positive thing overall, and illusion is generally considered, well, at its core, it is deception. We wound up going with illusion, was just slightly lower on the list than divination.
So next up is evil if you are, and I'm categorizing that. It's not so much what you do with the spells. I am looking at your spell selection, right? There are these spell lists have spells that are just inherently bad, right? And then there's others that are either good or fairly neutral, right? It just depends what you do with it. So you can, in theory, just choose not to take any of those spells that are inherently bad.
So the first one that we're going to get into is transmutation. And this one is about transforming something or someone into something else. And it can be done against their will. That's why our saving throws come in. So, like, this is why we're like, all right, well, if you're doing, you know, polymorph to get away from somewhere, not a problem. If you're trying to polymorph someone to be able to capture them, definitely a problem.
Yeah, but, you know, in the transmutation school, there are plenty of things you could take that wouldn't go into those areas. And that's why I'm like, okay, this one's only evil if you choose to be and want those kind of spells at your disposal.
Right. So next up, we're going to look at evocation. And I mean, this is one that's, you know, flat out, it's boom. It's about destruction. And while you can have an invoker, what have you, that goes out and helps save the world, and it's a grand and great thing.
But they're doing it with a magical shotgun, essentially.
But they're doing it with boom. Like, you know, pretty much the thought pattern of, I didn't say how big the room was. I said I cast Fireball. Is a very popular meme. My kids love it. They say it all the time. And their wizards and sorcerers have been all about Fireball without abandon. I'm like, dude, sometimes you just gotta look. Now, obviously, we know mechanically, you know, evocation wizards have the ability to sculpt their spells and not hurt bystanders, and that's great for 5th edition. But
you manipulate energy, because I think also now healing magic is evocation as well.
So, you know, sculpting spells allows you to help people. But, you know, in previous editions, you didn't have that kind of stuff. So it was just like, all right, I cast a boom spell, and who cares who gets hurt?
Yeah. So next up, and I mean, this one might belong before evocation. No, we're going to the most evil. So
most evil.
So conjuration definitely goes after, and here's why. There's a bunch of conjuration spells that you can take. They're perfectly fine. They're about moving things around. They're about teleporting. They're about conjuring inanimate objects. Not a problem. Where it comes into a problem is a bunch of your spells are summoning creatures, and they don't get a choice in it. So at that point, you're usurping their will. There is no way to dress that up. That's not really a great thing. Consent is key in life in pretty much all things.
Yeah, so binding things to your will and making them be your servant, you know, is incredibly crazy. And once you kind of get to those upper echelon spells and you find a way to extend them, I know a character in one of my games was like, I'm going to conjure an earth elemental. And I'm going to do this thing, and I don't remember all the mechanics, but he had it last for 30 days. And
I believe you can get up to like a year, so...
So, like, this thing was forced to work for him for a month, and I'm like, oh my God, how the flip is this not a bad thing? So it all depends upon how you use that, and, you know, that's just how it goes.
So now we're going to go into the spells that we just consider, or the schools of magic that we just consider flat out evil.
Yeah, and so we got 2 schools left. I'm pretty sure you know what they are if you've, you know, been around the block a little bit. So the second to last, or the second to most evil, is going to be enchantment. And this is, you know, probably shocking to a lot of people, but you are affecting directly the minds and control of other people, and that is where it's like, yep, we're gonna slide this evil bar all the way over, because it is.
Yeah, there is no really good way. I mean, you can argue we're going to do good things with, you know, our mind control, but at the end of the day, you're still doing a bad thing to accomplish the good thing. I don't know. You know, my mom always said 2 wrongs don't make a right, so I'm going to go with that on this one. There's probably other enchantment spells that don't have to do with mucking with the mind, but a very large amount of them are some form of charm or suggestion.
Yeah. So we had to go ahead and take these ones and just say, "Yep, you're gonna be evil," and that's just how it is. And next is going to be, you know, what you all think, and that's going to be necromancy.
Necromancy. I think there might be like 2 spells that don't actually directly harm something or create an evil creature.
So you got false life, You know, that...
Yeah, there's one of them.
that one gives you an aura of, you know, extra life form. Sure, you know, that's great. And there's nothing in the spell description that, you know, really says, oh, you know, you're stealing it from somewhere else. No, it's just like, boom, temporary hit points. We're all good. So that's the one that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm thinking General Repose, but I don't even know if that's in the Necromancy school or not. But everything else is you're literally doing damage. You're creating undead, and all undead are evil creatures. Via 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual, you can do it however you want in your games, but any undead you would create using this spell, it says see the Dungeon Master. They have the monster statistics, which are in the Monster Manual.
Right.
And those are all aligned creatures. And it's not unaligned. It's not good. It's not neutral. They all just say evil, right? So you've created evil. You've brought more evil into the world than there was at this point. Some of the spells even do damage and then bring in more evil into the world.
Indeed. So it's rough. And you know what? You know, move beyond anything we say. You know, you've got the power to play your games and your way however you want. We can't shape that in any way, shape, or form. So if you want to have, you know, not evil necromancy, great, go for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can always homebrew in your games that, you know, undead are unaligned. They are basically animated objects, you know, and they're not actually, you know, undead creatures. Right. You know, anyone can do whatever they want. But we have to go by the commonality of what are the rules of the game that everyone is using. And based on those, we would say necromancy is probably the most evil school of magic.
Indeed. It brings it not only acts evil, but brings more evil into the world, whereas everything else tends to just either destroy or acts as evil, doesn't create it.
Yeah. So, but let us know what you think down in the comments below. I'm sure there's people that are going to argue with us. The emo goth boys and girls out there always want to defend necromancy, and we're here for it. It's cool.
Absolutely.
Play your game the way you want.
You like this video, others like it, as well as all the great content you can find over on Nerdarchy.com. Why not come check us out on Patreon and throw us some support there?
Articles like adding schools of magic to your fantasy worlds.
But hey, you're looking for some other ways to help support Nerdarchy, and you might be interested in a new school of magic? Why not come over to Nerdarchy the store and check out Beardomancy? Beardomancy is a new 5th edition wizard arcane tradition for the follically empowered. These wizards have mastered the ancient tradition of Beardomancy. No matter your gender, you can master the school of Beardomancy with enough patience and dedication. Bring your beard to bear against foes and protect your allies with beardomantic energy from the beard dimension. But there are dangerous entities out there too, not to be tangled with lightly. New arcane tradition, Beardomancy, 2 new feats. The new monster, the Hirsute Horror. 11 new Beardomancy spells, including Power Word Beard. 13 new Beardomancy themed items, and 4 new Beardomantic magic items.
Like we said earlier in the video, put your list down below. What do you think? What do you agree with us on? What do you disagree with us on? Share your thoughts and ideas with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to do things that'll make YouTube and Nerdarchy happy. Like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and click on that notification bell. You know you want to.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos on the channel every week, so come on back. But you can't wait till then. Check out D&D Necromancer 5e, Wizard's Guide to Black, Gray, and White Magic.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.